Pitch to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It is Season 3, Episode 29, and we are back for the review of the Cleveland Browns game because the New England Patriots have just won their fifth straight victory, beating the Cleveland Browns 32 points to 13. One half was a bit ropey. The second half was just a complete smoke screen. But we have got a lot to talk about here. We got Kieran on standby. We've also got Nick on standby as well. Make sure you smash the like button, Gronk spike the subscribe button, tell all your friends, follow us on social media platforms, and make sure you follow the podcast on Apple and Spotify as well. Remember, we're on the road to 100 subs. We're at 62. We're 38 away. So let's go and hit that sub button, hit that like button while you're there as well. And the New England Patriots are now sitting very pretty at 6-2. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening? Have you all had a good weekend?
All good.
Yeah, so can't complain.
Guys, is there something what you want to discuss, Nick, or you?
No, I am juggling many plates, so no, all good. You know what I'm like. My mood depends on all sorts of things. So no, I'm all good. I'm here. I'm firing. Let's go.
Good to know. Gentlemen, Patriots now stand at winning 32-13. We'll start with you, Kieran. We spoke on the preview show, obviously with Ollie, UK Browns. Hope he's well after the shellacking that he ended up getting in the second half. We spoke about how the Pats' offensive line was going to hold up against this ferocious front five of the Browns defense. Particularly among which I will put this out here, right now. Apart from JJ Watt, Myles Garrett is the best defensive edge rusher I've ever seen in my life. There's nothing this guy can do which absolutely amazes me. He had 5 sacks on the day, 2 on Will Campbell, 1 on Jared Wilson, 1 on Morgan Moses, and 1 on a chip on Hunter Henry. We spoke about how the line was going to help protect Maye because this is the number 1 defense in the NFL. We'll first start off with the line first because I'm going to start a little bit on the negative side of things before we get on to the positive because there's so much to speak about how well this team played. But the O-line, it had its moments in this game, and it showed when you're playing the number 1 defense in the NFL.
It did, but you're not going to play a line on the opposing side of the ball like that every single week. Now, I do have a bit of a gripe about the Myles Garrett situation because all we've heard all weekend is, oh my God, Myles Garrett got 5 sacks. Like, this guy is unbelievable. And look, he is. Don't get me wrong. He is arguably the best defensive end since JJ Watt, like you said. 2 of those sacks, though, were literally gifts. Like, one of them, he essentially just tapped Drake Maye on the shoulder after Maye got pushed from the right-hand side of the line anyway. Like, I don't know how they've credited Myles Garrett with that sack because he literally just almost just touched him on the shoulder and they blew the play dead and called it a sack. The other one, Drake Maye, runs out on a naked boot, should throw the ball away. He thinks he can outrun him, ends up getting brought down, minimal loss of yards. They're 2 that, do you really give Myles Garrett the credit for them? They're kind of just gimmies. So 3 of them, yes, well played, but everyone's acting on the outside as if he absolutely annihilated the offensive line, and not really the case when you look at when you watch the tape back. And there were plenty of times where Drake did have time to throw. The PFF grade for Will Campbell was still 69, which is, middle of the road, really. Myles Garrett was very complimentary of Will Campbell after the game, which was a little bit bizarre with some of the things he said about him being a wonderful human being. But I think it just showed that despite they've got a fantastic pass rush and they can get pressure on the quarterback and they can sack the quarterback, it doesn't necessarily translate to winning games because we still exposed the secondary. Drake still had time to carve them up deep, and we still cruised to a victory in the end after a slow start, winning the game by, once again, 19 points. Like, I mean, easily covered the spread. And ultimately, okay, yes, you're not going to play a line like that every week. You're not going to surrender 6 sacks every week. It really doesn't matter. So I'm good with it.
So
I think
go on, Nick.
I was just going to say, given some of the dodgy decisions across the league this week, giving somebody a sack that wasn't a sack is probably a half decent decision, given some of the mistakes this week. Are we still talking about the same Myles Garrett that wanted to leave because Cleveland isn't on his road to Canton, and then suddenly Cleveland found however many million a year? And he went, yeah, I'll go via Cleveland, actually. So, I mean, he had his chance to get out of Cleveland and go make a real career and win stuff. But instead, he's taken the money. So he can't moan. He can't moan if he doesn't win anything because he won't win anything in Cleveland. But that being said, like Kieran said, or like Cal said, the guy is a generational talent, and you'd love him on. He's one of those players you want him on your team, and you don't want to face him when you play the opposition. So it's, I mean, credit where credit's due. You don't face a Myles Garrett every week, so I think you lick your wounds and you move on. But again, that's the third game in a row that, despite us winning, we concede a touchdown and concede points straight away on the first drive that we're defending. We have got to start quicker.
We do.
We're going to face a team. We're going to face a team that will score on us quick, and we won't be able to catch up.
I think it was a case of, I don't know what it is with what we are doing on the defensive side of the ball. As if it's to say, well, the first drive, we need to see what they are capable of and what we're looking at. And if they score, and that's fine, but then we'll just clamp them down. And you are right, Nick. That's all well and dandy. But the problem that we're going to have, as you rightly put it, the Falcons, okay, they're a bit of a lop-ended team. Sometimes they could be good. Sometimes they could be shit. You don't know. And then you got the Buccaneers. They'll probably have Bucky Irvin back after the bye week. They're going to be very, very dangerous. They're going to score. I don't think our defense is going to give less than what we've done currently. You've then got teams like the Bengals who can free score. You've got the Giants, okay, no scatterboo, but they can still put points on you. The Bills week 15, the Ravens week 16 with Lamar Jackson. There are games out there where we could run into some issues with. But for the time being, the defense, despite the fact it has made very slow starts, it clamps down on their offense from the next drive on. And they restrict them. They restrict them so much. I just want to bring us back to, because you talked about Will Campbell's PFF grade, Kieran. So his grade was 37 pass block snaps, 2 sacks allowed, 2 pressures, no QB hits, no hurries, 94.1% pass block efficiency, and 67.3 pass block grade. And the basis at the end, solid showing for a rookie matched up with a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and I think it was quite interesting that Garrett seemed to have the most joy when he was being chipped first, when Will Campbell had help on the outside. Yeah. The actual one-on-one reps, Will Campbell didn't do too bad. Particularly if you look at the deep touchdown to Kayshon Boutte, he does so well to run Garrett around the corner, blocks him perfectly. Drake steps up, delivers an absolute dime. I think in those one-on-one reps, showed a lot of potential. And we're not talking about Will Campbell's being beaten because of length. The concerns coming into the season about the arm length. The losses that the line had against Garrett was his ability to just be a bit of a snake in terms of the way he moves. He slithers into the most strangest gaps, his movement skills are phenomenal. The guy, almost like they call it like the basketball Euro step, don't they? With like the kind of
the Euro
move,
step they call it, yeah.
like that he can do, like where you blink and he's gone. Like, and I don't think even the best left tackles in the league can deal with that at times. So we're talking about
Trent Williams, probably someone on those lines.
Exactly. Will Campbell's 8 games into his NFL career. He's going up one of the best of the generation. You're not going to expect him to completely shut him down because, as we said, some of the best left tackles in the NFL have struggled to do that. I think sometimes you just have to understand and respect and accept that you're going up against a generational player. As you said, there's going to be pressure. There's going to be probably a couple of sacks, and it's how you deal with that with other phases of the game. And like I said earlier, despite the fact we surrendered 6 sacks in the game, 5 to 1 player, it really didn't matter in the end because we still poleaxed them.
Absolutely. I can't think of anything else on the deficiency on the side of the ball where for the rest of the time we defended really, really well. We'll get more into the defense later on. But I think we need to get back to the headline in all this. What did I say in the preview show? I said if Drake Maye throws for over 250 yards on this Browns and on this number 1 Browns defense, he can throw on absolutely anybody. 282 yards, 18 of 24, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Okay, the interception was not a very good one. I'm sure that the linebacker read him like a book on that one. But 135 passer rating again, the QBR 69. Drake just continues to get better and better and better each week. And even when he got sacked 5 times, even though you say 5 sacks as in very loosely termed there, Kez, it didn't faze him. Usually when quarterbacks get absolutely manhandled by Myles Garrett, they get shaken and then they can't throw a fucking ball if their life depended on it. But with Drake, it was like, no, we're cool.
Yeah,
we're cool. We're gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep moving and so on. And I just love his composure now because he used to be a little bit happy feet in the pocket when he did get taken down. Now in this game, he dusted himself off and he just went what he'd done.
I think he's playing with a ton of confidence. I think the offense is opening up for him, and we hear that phrase often said that the game is slowing down for him now, and he's able to make the decisions. He trusts the guys around him wholeheartedly, and I think a lot of credit has to go to Josh McDaniels as well by how he's being utilized and what plays are being called. I think it was Dalton Wasserman on PFF this week that said there was the first drive to start the second half. The 7-play drive that led to the touchdown, literally just after halftime, was the greatest period of play calling, a sequence of play calls that you will see in succession all season. With what Josh
I've got that written down. I've got that written down.
Well,
I've literally
got doing this, Nick. I do apologise. Maybe we need to speak to each other before we go on air because this keeps happening.
We've got the bold Dan Orlovsky here who's probably got every single part of that drive. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I've got literally Josh McDaniels straight out in the second half, cooking with gas, and then I've got that play the drive that Kieran's talking about, right? We're talking about a 6-yard run from Henderson from split back gun, a crack toss lead for 27 yards with Henderson, a double pass to Hollins for 19 yards, speed option for 4 yards, a jet sweep to Douglas for 8 yards, a wide delay off the foot, felt motion, touchdown. It's like, is there a better? We've had this conversation. I don't believe there's a better OC in the NFL. He's not the greatest head coach. That's fine. But you know what? He's probably the greatest OC that is.
You're either greatly designed to be a head coach or greatly designed to be a coordinator. Josh McDaniels has had 2 goes at being a head coach and it failed miserably in both of them. But when he's an OC for us, let's be real here, he's only been an offensive coordinator for us. Yeah. He's just been phenomenal.
I think it's one of them where Robert Kraft needs to say to him, look, Josh, your family live here. Your kids were born here. They're grown up here. Like, you don't need to leave to be a head coach again. Like, you're set here. You've got a job for life as long as you want it.
He could be the OC for Drake Maye for the next 20 years.
Just stay here as the OC and live off the success that you've got. Because,
and you know what? You can get in the Hall of Fame as a coordinator. Yes. You can get in the Hall of Fame as a coordinator. So it's not like you'd need to be a head coach to be a Hall of Famer.
And I think Nick is right. I think he is arguably the best coordinator in the NFL. I think he is one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. And I think the fact now, right, the sample size, because I think back when we went during the dynasty era and, everyone's saying, well, he had Tom Brady, he was going to make the Tom Brady look great. Maybe Tom Brady made him look great. But then Tom Brady leaves, we take Cam Newton. And yes, it was bumpy with Cam Newton, but he completely adapted the offense from someone that couldn't run more than 5 yards to operating an option.
Someone who couldn't throw 5 yards.
Yeah, someone who couldn't throw 5 yards. Yeah.
Someone who couldn't throw to the side of the
Seattle game, the second game of the season, when Newton was throwing absolute lasers down the field. And so then he adapted that. Then the following season, we have Mac Jones. He completely revamps the offense again and makes Mac Jones look awesome as a rookie. He then leaves and it all falls apart. And, Mac Jones just descends into the abyss. And then now he's come back and he's working with Drake Maye, his fourth permanent starting quarterback, you would say. And he's taken Drake Maye, who looked good last year. We were all excited about what he did as a rookie. We credited Alex Van Pelt for his development of Drake Maye. He's now taken Drake Maye from pretty good as a rookie and has potential to the future to an MVP candidate in 8 games. I mean, that is just like the level that Josh McDaniels has elevated him is unbelievable.
It's basically a mirrored version of what Josh Allen did in his second year.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is. Josh Allen was very raw. He made some very good plays, but he made some back-breaking interceptions and overthrew his receivers by like 20-odd yards. But they didn't stray from the path. They got the right people involved, and he blossomed in year 2, Josh Allen. And I think this is what you're seeing right now from Drake Maye. When you've got the proper competent coach and the proper competent OC to go with the quarterback, that's a match made in heaven. And you can see it right now within 8 weeks, sitting at 6-2. Go on, Nick.
So there was a conversation on Fox. I think they certainly had the conversation, but I think it was in more than one place. And they were talking about, is Drake Maye the best QB to have come out of that particular draft class? And while I don't mind admitting Drake Maye is probably the best currently of that class, i.e. how he's performing, to say it's all Drake Maye is very disrespectful towards Josh McDaniels, because I think Jaden Daniels is another one. He's playing well, but he doesn't have Josh McDaniels. You put Jaden Daniels in, you put Jaden Daniels with Josh. Are you gonna get a? It's very hard to compare apples to oranges, but the fact is, I think, you look and say, well, JJ McCarthy can't stay fit.
Horrible.
You've got Chicago. Bonix is probably my number 2 QB out of that class.
He's looking good, but sometimes he can be scared. He can be a bit streaky at the same time. But
Caleb Williams is a weird player to watch. You watch him, and he's so like, when he drops back to pass and his movements and stuff, he looks like he's trying to like cosplay as Spider-Man. Like the way that his body moves, like he tries to like do these bizarre like throwing angles and like. I don't know. He's just such a strange player to watch. And I agree, Carl. Like, there's been some moments from Caleb Williams this year I've looked at and go, yeah, this guy's pretty damn good. And then in other games, he just looks like a bum. Like, it's like, what? If he doesn't have
a wide open window, he panics and just runs.
Do you know what he is? He is an unstructured, off the script type of quarterback. You look at what Ben John's trying to do. He runs off script. He runs off structure. And if Caleb Williams doesn't do that, it goes tits up. And this is why I have my issues with him. You can't, if you try and bring what you did at college and try and bring it to the NFL, you'll get eaten alive in your first 2 years. And I always say the first 2 years are your first 2 most important years as a quarterback. How far can you take this team? There is no excuse for you. Half the sacks have been taken off from last year. You've got a great running back in DeAndre Swift. You've got the O-line is better than what it was last year. And the amount of weapons. We talk about having Stephon Diggs and Kayshon Boutte and Matt Collins. Chicago's offensive weapons completely flipping trumps us.
Yeah.
Romo Dunze, DJ Moore,
Luther Burden, Colston
Loveland, Cole Kmet. They've got some bloody excellent players. There is no excuse for that quarterback not to succeed. Drake Maye is still working with what he's got. All we've really done is, well, here's Diggs. Here's a wide receiver 1. Everybody else, make your own part. But Drake's just dishing it out.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, look, it's still a long way to go. Yeah, Jaden Daniel was fantastic last year, and he's barely played this season. But I think I often like to look at, like, if you're rating a quarterback, like, who, in terms of a ranking, like, they've got to be able to do, like, everything. Like, I like to look at them in terms of their passing ability first. And this is why I've never been massively high on Lamar Jackson, because when it goes into the big games and he finds himself having to put the team on his back with his arm, he can't do it. But you look at Josh Allen can make every throw. Patrick Mahomes can make every throw. Joe Burrow can make every throw. For me, they're the clear best 3 in the league. And everyone talks about the big 4 with Lamar. And fair enough. Like, I'm happy to put Lamar in that. But I think Drake is a better passer than Jaden Daniels. And I think Drake is a miles better passer than Caleb Williams. I think he is definitely touching that top 5 territory in terms of passers in the league now. Like, you wouldn't feel like going into a game that if Drake Maye needs to throw the ball 40 times in a game, that he couldn't get it done. Whereas if Lamar has to throw the ball 40 times in a game, I'm a little bit hesitant, because that offense relies on his legs, really, doesn't it? And Derrick Henry. But I certainly think Maye, as it stands, is the best quarterback from that class. I think we're seeing that. And it's just none of us could have seen this coming, right? I think we were all expecting Drake to take a leap this year, but I don't think any of us would have expected a triple jump. Any of us would have sat here on October the 28th. That is the right date, isn't it? Yeah, October the 28th. Yeah. Nearly got the date wrong. Saying that Drake Maye is in the MVP conversation. Like, I'm just looking it up now. As things stand, Drake Maye is the 3rd favorite to win the MVP after 8 games. That is, like, insane. Like, none of us would ever have predicted that. Like, and that, yes, obviously Drake has to take credit. The team has to take credit. Josh McDaniels, Mike Vrabel. But what this guy is doing, like, Tom Brady said it himself. Like, he was like, if I could do half the things, some of the things that this kid could do, then maybe I'd have had an even better career. Like, it's unbelievable.
Was that in the video with Gronk?
Yeah.
I saw that, and because he obviously Tom made the quit the other week about Hunter Henry being like the best tight end that's ever played for the Patriots, and I think that
Gronk got his revenge. Gronk got his
revenge this week. Yeah, I saw. But you could see Drake Maye was on the outskirts of that picture, going, "I don't want to be in this conversation. I don't quite feel comfortable."
It's like the child. It's like the child in the middle of the mother and father. The conversation. You don't really want to be in it.
He's only joking. He's only joking. Meanwhile, Tom's just taking it in his stride. It's great. I love that video.
It was a very good video, and it's nice to see that us to be able to enjoy that kind of thing again. Because, like, if you're struggling and you can see things like that, it's like, whatever. But, like, because things are good and Drake's rolling and now he's catching everybody's eye on a national level, and then you've got the greatest tight end in the history of the NFL, the greatest quarterback to ever, the greatest of all time, and they're there endorsing Drake Maye and having a laugh. Well, I just think it's great for us, like, to see that. I just see Drake try to say to Gronk that he reckons that he could still lace him up. I'd love to see Gronk come back for one last run. I think he can still do it. You know?
Please, I wish that was the case. If there's one thing we are very limited depth wise, it is tight end. Because if you think about it, all we've really got is Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry. I don't know, Jack Westover is technically a tight end, but he's been playing at fullback.
Yeah.
So we
well,
don't.
Matt Collins is technically the kind of pseudo third tight end, isn't he? Because he's been taking snaps at tight end. So
we thought he'll be predominantly a blocker, but he's actually, if I'm not mistaken, let me just go back onto the box score quickly. Let's have a look.
Yeah, like 7 for 89, wasn't it?
7 for 89. I mean, shitting hell. You don't see that. As soon as I saw the box score, so Matt Collins was at the most yardage from the receivers. I'm like, it always seems to be someone different. First it was Diggs, then it was Butte, then it was Douglas, and now it's Matt Collins.
Yeah,
it seems like everyone is just having their day.
Yeah,
and I think that's what Josh McDaniels is also trying to do as well. He's probably pinning out each game. Well, you're going to get the most yards, you're going to get the most catches, and moving forward. Diggs only had 3 catches for 14 yards. He didn't get pissy on the sideline. I think because he understands he wants Drake to develop. I think that he understands that. Back in the past, he'd be having a hissy fit right now. But
he looked delighted to score a touchdown at last. Like the relief on his face, like he's been waiting for that.
And yes, it was a quick side pass at the line of scrimmage, but guess what? No one cares. You got the touchdown. As soon as I saw the play, I saw motion. This is going Diggs. This is going to Diggs at the line. Yeah, it was. But a great performance on this. Let's actually talk about the game now. We've spoken a lot about individuals. So let's talk about the game itself. The first half was kind of what me and Kieran expected, which basically was it's going to get a bit dirty. It's going to be a bit grimy. It's going to be like 2 boxers fighting on the inside, juggling for position. Okay, we gave up the touchdown to start with, but then, we penned them in. We never gave them any more room to breathe. Poor Dylan Gabriel. I mean, he struggled. Apart from that one drive, he absolutely struggled in that game.
And I know Ollie said on Friday that,
21 to 35, 156, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which, by the way, Jalen Hawkins, take a bow, my son. That was one heck of a catch.
That was ridiculous.
To come down with that. And maybe he could play receiver for the Browns. Just saying. Anyway, go on, Kez.
Yeah, obviously, Ollie said on Friday that, Gabriel had not done enough to play himself to the bench. But when I watched Dylan Gabriel, and I thought it was the same at Oregon as well, when I watched the college tape, and this is why he wasn't high on my rankings. The guy is under 6 foot, which is already a red flag in the NFL. Left-handers, really, since Michael Vick, how many left-handed quarterbacks have succeeded in the NFL? Tua struggled. Tua's not fantastic. Michael Penix doesn't look great. Kellen Moore didn't look great either. So I think lefty's natural disadvantage anyway. And then the arm strength, you can tell it's just so lacking. And this, I know he's playing very safe. And up until this game, he hadn't thrown an interception. But you can tell that he lacks arm strength. He lacks velocity on the ball. His release isn't fantastic. And he is just a check down Charlie. Like, his yards are going to come up on yards after the catch, really. Throwing over the middle, like, is probably his strong point. But as soon as he tried to uncork it a little bit, gets picked off by a ridiculous pick from Jalen Hawkins. You can just tell he's a limited quarterback. He might be able to come into a game every now and then and steer you. If the rest of the team is decent, he might be able to come in and do a job. But he's no more than a backup. I thought that coming out of Oregon. I thought 3rd round was way too high for him. I think my grade was like 5th, 6th round. Obviously, Shadour's injured at the moment. I don't know how quick it will be before they turn over to him. I think I don't expect it to be after the bye, but I feel like after that performance, Gabriel's probably on the ropes. And like Ollie said, like, the more Gabriel struggles, the more the pressure and the noise is going to be for Shedeur Sanders coming. But I also think that the Browns fans and the NFL needs to calm down on that, because you're expecting another rookie who was drafted in the 5th round, who had one of the biggest draft slides in recent memory, to come in and turn it around instantly. I just don't think that's going to be the case. Yes, he might be better than Dillon Gabriel. I'm pretty certain that he probably is. But, I mean, how good actually is he?
That's going to be the issue with Dillon Gabriel. The thing is, after I finished listening to all the Patriots punditry, I fancied having a laugh. So then I found Cleveland Browns, or Cleveland radio, shall we say. And I thought I'd have a listen and find out what they're doing. And apparently, Kevin Stefanski said in an interview, I think it was on Monday, he said that they are sticking with Dillon Gabriel after the bye. And I just the first thing that came into my head was, I like your truthfulness, but you're also being very truthful, but you want to get fired at the end of the season.
Well, I listened to a podcast or a quote. I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere online, and it was, they're basically saying Cleveland could have had a bit of a blinder here, in the sense that the rookie class from this year, aside from the 2 quarterbacks who they took a bit of a dart throw on, let's be honest, has been pretty damn good. You know, we spoke to Ollie about that last week. They've got Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, Harold Fannin, Quinshon Judkins. Like, that looks pretty damn solid. They're trying to pad out the rest of the roster. The defense is awesome. So they're realistically a quarterback away from being reasonably decent. But it's like they almost turned around and said, right, we don't give a toss about the quarterback this year. We know that we're not going to contend. Let's just add talent to the rest of the roster, and we'll come back for the QB next year. So they're likely going to be picking in the top 10 again. They're going to be in range of one of these top-end guys. And it could end up being a good decision, because if they hit on a quarterback in the 2026 draft and they've already got the pieces around him, they could ascend reasonably quickly. So it could be a long-term payoff for the short-term suffering, but we'll have to wait and see. Knowing them, they'll probably pull the trigger on the wrong quarterback. I mean,
it's not like they've done it 41 other times since 1999, but
imagine if they'd have kept Baker Mayfield. You put Baker Mayfield in that team, and they could be a playoff team. I mean, he doesn't quite have the weapons that he does in Tampa, but I still don't think that like the Browns' weapons aren't awful. Like, Jerry Jeudy's a solid NFL receiver. I really like Cedric Tillman. You've got two good tight ends. You've got a good running back. You know, Isaiah Bond was a nice free agent pickup after his troubles in the offseason. They've got pieces there. Just a quarterback away, but Gabriel was not the answer. I'm not surprised that he struggled in this game. I fully expected us to try and eat him alive. Carl, you and I have been harping on about not giving up more than 21 points on defense all season. That was, and Ollie said they've not scored more than 17 all season. So I knew that was going to be the case, and we made Gabriel look exactly like we thought he was.
Which is why I said I say we win 24-10, but we actually blew them out. They obviously got a garbage time touchdown, which is basically irrelevant, really. But that first half was quite ugly, to say the least. We struggled to get anything going. We knew the Browns' defense showed their teeth, and there's a reason being why they're really, really good. And then, it got to the second half, and all of a sudden, something just clicked into gear. That beginning drive at the start of the third quarter was just a thing of beauty that Josh McDaniels created there. And also, one other thing as well. Finally, after 8 weeks, we finally got Treveyon Henderson going.
It's amazing what happens when you get him in space and you dial up plays specifically intended for him, isn't it? Like, where you get him out on wide zones, when you get him on, crack tosses, when you get him in space and he's able to run into space, and you're not trying to run a player like that between the tackles, it's amazing that he finally produces something, isn't it? I've been calling for this all week. The only thing we're not seeing, and I thought it was weird as well, Maye threw a deep ball on a wheel down the sideline to Ramondre Stevenson. Like, that play, we saw Henderson carve up teams in training camp on wheel routes. Like we're not seeing that yet. But the first time they just and Henderson said this in his post-match interview, they actually put plays in the game plan specifically for him, which is what we need to see because we know he's a dynamic, explosive playmaker. And I hope that this is the case going forward now, where we start utilizing him right and we start seeing some payoff from it because we know the ability's there. It's just not been used in the right way.
He is, and that is.
I mean, we was just going to say, we said last week when we talked about the fact that he wasn't playing, and we said as you get into the colder weather and you start running the ball more, having a fresh running back who hasn't who hasn't had 8 games worth of yards so far this season might actually benefit us. So I don't, but I don't know. Maybe some of the coaches were listening to the podcast. I don't know, but I think if it's, you've got to remember it's his rookie year, so I'm not sort of like expecting the world from him. So I'm not bothered that he's not tearing teams up. But like you said, Kieran, you want to at least see that he can do these things. And, you saw what he could do in training camp. So you really want to see it in a game situation. But, like I said, I think over the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks, I think we'll probably see more and more of Henderson anyway.
We will do. We definitely will do. And it's good to see him finally get off the mark. What he had, 75 yards rushing. I just want to add as well, this Browns defense is meant to be number 1 in the NFL. The New England Patriots put up 422 total yards on offense against supposedly the number 1 defense in the NFL. I still maintain if Drake May can throw on this defense, he can throw on anybody.
Yeah, it was a real positive to come out of that from,
this guy's right as well. DPF, yeah. He was absolutely spot on as well. Told you be by week 10. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Yeah. And returns maybe week 16, 17 into playoffs. That could be Treveyon Henderson could be our third down. I don't think he's going to be your starting main running backs. I think that's who Stevenson is. But I think Treveyon Henderson as a pass catching back, that's where he's at his most dangerous. And it's no shame in him just being the third down back. Yes, okay, we blew a 2nd round pick on the guy, but you can tell he has talent. You can tell of his pace and his agility. So it is there. The only thing that really darkened his day really was that he fumbled one yard from the flipping end zone on that final drive.
That was a really rare fumble as well because he did not fumble in college at all throughout his entire time.
I don't think he fumbled it either. I think it got punched out as well. Yeah. You got to hold on to the ball better. Hold on to the ball better, man. But apart from that, Henderson was really good. But that second half was just... That second half was just an absolute thing of beauty. Everything that New England did in that third quarter was just absolutely phenomenal. Even, also as well, we've got to give a shout out to Robert Spillane as well, because he got the interception, which I've got flipping no idea what bloody Dylan Gabriel was doing there. Just give it to him. Just give it straight to Robert Spillane. And I'm glad that he actually got dropped down at the 5-yard line because I'm like, right, okay, let's get another touchdown here and it'll be good. But
Spillane had a big game. I think it was like 14 total tackles. He had a tackle for loss. He had a pass breakup and an interception. Like, it's a pretty big game. He's really come through after the early, first 2 or 3 games where he struggled a little bit. Now he's settled in. He has been excellent the last few weeks. So. That's looking like a big hit in free agency again. The green dot guy on our defense. Like,
I'm trying to find Lane's stats on here. I'm just having a look right now. Here it is. From Patriots lead, the Patriots have a cornerstone linebacker in Robert Spillane. 14 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 interception. Absolute beast. And DJ was very critical of this guy, saying, "Oh, he's very good stopping the run, but he's not good at anything else." Maybe it's just peaked too soon, maybe, because Spillane is starting to prove really, really well now. I think we still need help at the linebacker position. because it's just him and Christian Ellis. And yeah, we could do a little bit more depth, but that's what happens when the cupboard gets left empty.
We're not like massively shallow there. Obviously, at the moment, him and Ellis are the main two. You got Gibbons factoring in, Tavai, Mapu's been playing down there. So it's not like we're crying out for one, but it's, if you want to upgrade an area there, then that's something you do next off season. But I think
there's only 2 players worth a damn on that Cincinnati Bengals defense. One of them is Trey Hendrickson, but now he's injured. So now his price is now going to fall flat, is now going to crash. And the other one is their linebacker, Logan Wilson.
I mean, Logan Wilson would be
Logan Wilson's demanded a trade out as well.
Yeah, that would be a great ad if we could do that. We'd probably have to send one of our linebackers back to them because we don't want to have 6 on the roster. But yeah, that would be a good move. I feel like we still probably need to address the pass rusher situation.
We'll talk a little bit before you jump into it. We know there's 2 things we'll end on the show on. One of them is obviously going to be Marcus Jones's new extension, and the other one we'll talk about trade, because obviously next Tuesday is trade deadline day, so we'll have a bit of a discussion. I've got a little bit of I'll throw some names out there for you two to have a debate over. Once again, the running game of New England showed its teeth and is holding running backs to under 50 yards. So I've got up here in week 1 against Ashton Genty, 38 yards. Week 2, Devon Achane, 30 yards. Week 3, Jalen Warren, 47 yards. In week 4 and 5, Hubbard and James Cook got 49 yards. That's the most anyone's ever got out of our line. Alvin Kamara only managed to get 30 yards. Last week in the game against Tennessee, Spears got 22 yards. Pollard got 18 yards. And then this week against Judkins, 19 yards. And he did get injured as well. Their best rusher, if I'm not mistaken, was Malachi Corley for 35 yards, and he's a receiver.
That was a jet sweep, wasn't it?
It might have been a jet sweep.
I think it was a jet sweep. Yeah. But then I think they ended up turning it over after that anyway. So
there we go. Let's have a look now. Yeah, 31 yards rushing Malachi Corley had, and it was pretty much it was pretty much depth from that point forward. Dominated time possession on 30. I think it was like 36 minutes that we had in that game. Overall, you look at the box score and think, 32-13. It seems like a pretty straightforward win. The first half wasn't straightforward, but we knew what the Browns defense was going to do. They were going to show their teeth. They were going to be a bit of a problem to deal with. Second half, we just adjusted. And at the end of the day, it was basically down to who's got the better quarterback. And the Browns, well, they brought a water pistol to a machine gun fight. There's no competition in that. Drake Maye was always going to 5 in that.
Yeah, and yes, their defense is fantastic. But if they're constantly on the field because their offense can't score points and they can't get off the field, then ultimately they're going to crack. And we did say last week that their front 7 is miles better than their secondary. I know Tyson Campbell went out of this game, but still, I don't think their secondary anywhere near as good as their front 7. Speaking of which, as well. Another good game for our boy, Kayshon Boutte. Another touchdown, another deep shot, 75 yards. The weekly Kayshon deep shot from Maye.
Hold it.
I don't actually want to bring it up in particular.
Just hold it for 30 seconds.
1, 2, 3, I got big booty, bitch, big booty, bitch, I got big booty, bitch, big booty, bitch, I got big booty.
Great.
Proceed.
That should be his walkout song in Foxborough. Now they've brought back the player introductions. He should come out to that. But no, obviously, great throw from Drake Maye. Absolute, dime to find him deep. Another great catch. Josh McDaniels was, very complimentary of the way Boutte tracked the ball. But actually, did you guys see the video of him absolutely destroying and dusting Denzel Ward on that triple move?
Yes.
So, we know that Boutte's a contested catch guy. He's a possession receiver. He's proven himself to be a decent deep threat as well. He catches basically first downs and touchdowns. He's had a great season. and we'll come on to his potential contract extension later. But like, he's never been like the fastest, most dynamic, like electric, slickest guy or the best route runner. But for him to absolutely dust Denzel Ward on that triple move, where Ward didn't even know where he'd gone, like Ward was just like completely lost him. Like he was just looking at the dust on the ground. Like Kayshon Boutte's developing all aspects of his game to the point where, like, you know, we all liked him. You know, we joked and said this is the Kayshon Boutte fan podcast, but like genuinely, he's getting better and better every single week, and he's now legitimately turning into an excellent receiver. Like he's on pace for 919 yards and 10 touchdowns. I don't think we would have predicted that coming into the season. I'm really hoping he can break the 1,000 yards.
Yeah, me too. No, me too. I think there are plenty of games where he still has that opportunity to do so. But, you know, Boutte has proven to be that brilliant deep threat that we know he's capable of. He can get contested catches. We're good. Pop Douglas as well. Since the Saints game has really started to come into his own now. Even now, he's the one that's starting to pull the strings as well a little bit.
They're trying to get him in space as well. You know, they're not just, you know, running him as a traditional slot receiver like early in the season where he was the main slot guy. They're actually getting him out in space and getting him on the move as well, like, and trying to, you know, play to his strengths a little bit. And you know, because he is he is shifty in the open field, and he can make guys miss. And you know, we've said before, if you're going to keep throwing to him over the middle as a traditional slot guy, like there's times where Maye might overthrow him, and we've seen that. But now you're playing to his strengths as well, and you're starting to unlock him a little bit. You know, taking more sort of deeper shots over the middle, intermediate shots as well. So the way they're utilizing Pop at the moment is much, much better. And that is, once again, credit to Josh McDaniels for the way he's lining these receivers up and seeing the usage. You know, Matt Collins playing as like a pseudo tight end. You know, they're moving him about all over the place. The only thing we're not really seeing is Kyle Williams get factored in. You know, he's on the field at times, but he's not really getting targeted. They're not dialing up these deep shots because they all go to Boutte. So, yeah, maybe one point we're going to see Kyle Williams rip off like a 50-yard touchdown, because
I think that's only what we're waiting for now. That's all we're waiting for now, I think. When that's going to come, I don't know. But it's going to come at a time where they look on the field and they're going to probably least expect it.
Yeah. But like, I know there's still calls for, like, you know, people want us to trade for AJ Brown. Look, if AJ Brown rocks up here, we're not going to complain, right? But yes, I don't think receiver is the greatest need at the moment when Drake Maye is making these receivers look good, when Diggs has been excellent, when Boutte's been excellent, Hollins is contributing, Pops look good. We've got two solid tight ends. Like, receiver is not on the high list of priorities for me right now. Like, you look at that in the offseason, whether Mac Hollins re-signs, whether Douglas you re-sign Douglas. Like, if you want to build on that in the offseason, you do. But right now, I would not be pulling a trade for a wide receiver. I'd be looking at an edge rusher or a DB or maybe a third running back.
So you segued it nicely into this. Okay, we're 6-2. We move on to the Falcons this coming Sunday. Preview show will be Friday night as per usual, 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you go check us out for that. But the trade deadline is next Tuesday. Now, I'm going to throw some names out here for you, okay? Now, we're going to take receivers out, because receivers, I don't think is somewhere we'll go after. If the Buffalo Bills want to go after A.J. Brown, then fine, by all means. But I just look at this receiving room right now, but Diggs is the number one. Everybody else is contributing. Everyone's in a good, cohesive unit. A.J. Brown's done nothing but be a bit of a drama queen throughout this season because he ain't getting the ball. Do we really want, if he does come to the page, do we really want that? Yes, we know he's got stardom. We know he's a fantastic player. But his attitude over this course of the season has really rubbed off on me. And it's got to a point now. I was like, do you know what, mate? How about you calm your tits and we'll wait to free agency?
It might be controversial. And as much as I think Brown is a great player and he would be successful here, I think Chris Olave would be a better fit in our offense than AJ Brown.
Saints have come out and said, but they're not trading Chris Olave.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect us to do that anyway. And I think they could get a decent return from him if they did.
They
trade,
should get a decent return for him, but guess what? If they're not going to trade him, then guess what? Chris Olave goes on a free.
Yeah, but if you look at like the stylistic, like the style of receivers that Olave and Brown are, Olave is a much better fit in our offense with Josh McDaniels than AJ Brown is.
He will be. So, with that being said, I'm going to throw some names out there for you, and I know some might not be as realistic, but we kind of, we're in a position now with 6-2. I did say if we get to the Falcons and we are 7-2, we should be buyers at the deadline, whether it's for a corner, where a safety or a pass. I think he's going to get someone on the defensive side of the ball. I will throw a couple of tight ends in there as well, and I know, as I said to you already, it's a bit of lack of depth at the tight end class, because what happens if Austin Hooper goes down? Or God forbid, what happens if Hunter Henry goes down?
Yeah.
Then we got no depth. So let me throw two names out there, both in the AFC. Okonkwo, tight end from the Tennessee Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one I throw out there, from Las Vegas.
I like where you're going.
Nick, you know who this guy is because he went to Notre Dame. Mike Maye.
Yeah, I like Michael Mayer a lot, but I can't see Vegas wanting to trade him because, I nearly said Blake Bortles then.
You did.
Bowers. I don't think Blake Bortles is playing tight end somehow. No, Brock Bowers has obviously struggled with injuries, and Michael Mayer has been the main man. And to be honest, they should be running a lot more 12 personnel with them too, because they're two very talented tight ends. I think like Okonkwo is probably more obtainable because they've got Gunnar Helm, who's looked pretty good as a rookie. Big physical specimen as well. I like that. But yeah, I would certainly not object to either of those two. I don't think tight end, in terms of one of those type of guys, is someone we'll like to say. It'll be someone like a third stringer if they are going to add a tight end. But I don't. As much as I wouldn't mind, I don't see either of those being traded for here.
Considering when it gets colder in Foxborough and we're going to run the ball a lot more, I would have loved it if we had Austin Hooper does catch, but he's more been the blocker really than has been the pass catcher. He's more been the blocker. Can you imagine him and Mike Mayer on either side of the line acting as a 12-man, as actually as a 13-man personnel?
Yeah.
And being the blockers for Stevenson and Henderson. That'd be something I'd look for, but that's just the tight ends.
I'd imagine Michael Mayer. Go on, Nick.
When you consider that someone, Isaiah Likely and Cade Otton are both available as free agents at the end of the year. Now, there's no guarantee they make it to free agency, obviously. But when you look at they are likely to be top 10, top 15 free agents. I think to get a tight end now for and cost yourself draft capital, which I assume is what it would cost us. We're not going to trade player for player. I think to get one now, when you look at there are some good tight ends available in free agency, I'd probably stick rather than twist and see what it looks like at the end of the year, because I'd love someone like Isaiah Likely. I'd love him as a Patriot.
They hoard tight ends for fun, though, Baltimore. That's the only issue. They hoard them for fun.
Well, that's maybe why they won't renew this one.
True.
Someone I would look at who's looked pretty good since he's gone to his new team, has been released a couple of times in recent years. He's on a roster at the moment, so you're not going to get him this year, but maybe next year because he's on a short-term deal. I would look at Noah Fant. Big, athletic, has been pretty productive for Cincinnati this season, despite the fact Burrow has not played. I would look at someone like that who's still young. I think he's still only like 26. I hear someone that I think in the right situation could look pretty damn good.
No, I agree. No fan is an option. Let's move over to the positions where I think we're going to get a bit of help from. And it's mostly going to be at the pass rush position. So I'm just going to throw some names out there for you right now. I think the first few are going to be pretty obvious as to what we're doing. So the first thing I'm going to throw out there, Arden Key of the Tennessee Titans. Knows Vrabel very well. He knows Arden Key very well.
Mm-hmm.
Partnering him on the other side of Harold Landry.
Yeah, I would take it. I think he's a productive pass rusher, experienced, been around a few teams, been a consistent producer. Not a high end pass rusher, but someone would probably factor in the rotation really well, and would be easily obtainable. Like if you said to me tomorrow that we've traded for Arden Key, like, I wouldn't be surprised, because he's exactly the kind of prime trade target that you would go for. So, yeah. Got no issues with that at all. I think that's definitely more likely than some of the bigger names. Obviously, people are dreaming over some big trades, but I think Arden Key falls into that kind of category of realistic trade targets.
Okay, the next one I think can be very realistic because a certain team is after a safety. I think we're going to be trading a safety, so I think this one could make the most amount of sense. We send Kyle Duggar to the Giants. And in return, we get Kayvon Thibodeau.
The thing with Thibodeau is, I look at what has he done since coming into the league.
I can look
because
if you like.
You know, the whole reason that Thibodeau's on the block possibly is because obviously they got the number one edge rusher in the draft, and they did that because Kayvon wasn't setting the world alight. Now, yes, Mike Vrabel could arm round the shoulder and sort of bring him round, but I don't think Daboll's like treating him like crap or anything. I think and you look at his interview. I remember the interview he did with the around the NFL lads before their podcast got broken up, and the interview he did with them pre-draft, and it was an absolute wreck of an interview because he just wouldn't answer any questions and was just he's not the sort of person I would bring into this team when we're trying to build something and what have you. And you look at what the team, what the franchise want to show us in forwards in Foxborough. I look at someone like Thibodeau and I think, no, I would rather leave that well alone.
Okay,
also Mike Garafolo reported 4 hours ago that he doesn't believe that Thibodeau is even available for trade.
Okay,
the Giants don't want to let him go, so I don't think that one will happen. I quite like him. I think if you can obtain a young pass rusher that was once considered or any player for that matter, one player that was once considered to be a top end talent that not quite reached their potential or has been a bit underwhelming, I always think it's worth taking a stab on the development. We've done that with Kayshon Boutte. He had a tough time at LSU last couple of years with injuries and off the field, and now it's paying off. So I think sometimes if you could have got Thibodeau for a 6th round pick or something like that, and you take a punt on a 24, 25-year-old player, I think that's a real positive thing to do, because if he turns out to be really good, you've got someone that could be with you long term. But
the Giants also picked up his 5th round option as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd have liked him, but I don't think that one was likely. I think there are probably likelier options in that one.
So his career so far, he's played 51 games, 23.5 sacks, 85 solo tackles, and 6 forced fumbles. What Kayvon Thibodeau has had. Who else would we say could we potentially be up for a trade for? And I know the likes of Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, they're way, way, way out of our reach. But when a team is looking like, yeah, we could add strength to this, no matter what the cost would be, they would try. Now, I don't think the Raiders would let go of Crosby. He's either a Raider for life or he's going to be in a Buccaneer. He's going to be a Buccaneer for fan.
Well, I think the most likely ones, along with Arden Key. I mean, everyone's going to dream about Trey Hendrickson. Like,
I would still take Trey Hendrickson, but I'm not giving up a 3rd round pick. He's got a hip injury, so I'll be saying to you guys, he's injured. Why do we give up a 3rd round pick for an injured player? I'd give up our bottom 5th for him, and then that would be it. Because now they've basically fucked up. They basically fucked up his trade stock. The Bengals have fucked up his trade stock.
But that's only in the short term. Like, I think he's still a good enough age that if you still acquire him, I think that's good. Like, 3rd round pick and maybe Keon White. I think Keon White and Kyle Duggar get traded by the deadline. Like, they're not being used. Like, you need to offload them. So the other names out there that are being tipped as potential options are Jermaine Johnson from the Jets, who I think would be pretty solid.
He won't get traded. I could guarantee you the Jets might be shit, but they will not trade any of their players to us.
And then the other two are the Dolphins too, Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Now, Jalen Phillips has a pretty, solid injury history, but he's still only 26. He's going into a contract year. Like, that's the kind of player you want to take it. Like I said before with Thibodeau, you can get a youngish player that's, coming up a 1st round pick. Someone with a lot of potential that's looked good when he's been healthy. If you can give up late draft capital to acquire a player and take a gamble on them, I think sometimes that could pay off. So I'd be looking at Jalen Phillips as a potential option, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if he can stay fit. The other thing is, while you've got someone like Howard Landry and you've got other players that can take reps off him, if you're not having to use Phillips rep in, rep out, and literally use him all the time, he's got that chance to rest and recuperate, and then maybe he doesn't get injured as much. So it'd be a risk, but I could get behind Phillips. So
Phillips, I say yes. Chubb, no. I don't think Chubb's good enough.
Okay.
If Denver didn't want him back, then that's a serious problem. Because Denver love their pass rushers.
Wow, yeah, they do.
And Bradley Chubb just got offloaded. Jalen Phillips, I think, has always been a problem for us when we've had to go against him. I would probably say Jalen Phillips, but again, it's in the AFC East. Are they going to trade to a divisional rival? I mean, if they sandbag against the Ravens this Thursday night, could that be the final nail in the coffin? Say, right, okay, that's it. We're offloaded now.
Potentially. I mean, yes, the division does have to factor into it, but Miami is so far away from us that I don't think it matters that much. That they need to go into a rebuild where they need as much capital as possible. And if they're not going to re-sign Jalen Phillips to a contract extension, then they need to offload players like that. And they might not be able to pick and choose where he goes. And if they get a good offer from us, then they might have to be like, okay, we'll have to swallow it for now, because realistically, we are 3-4 years away from being in contention for the division again. So I don't think that's unrealistic. But out of all the names we've said, I think Arden Key's probably the most likely. But there might be another name come out of nowhere that you think, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I would just love to find out in a few days' time. Breaking news from Adam Schefter: the New England Patriots have just acquired Myles Garrett for 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
But that goes back to what I said earlier.
Strangest shit's happened in the NFL. Let's be real.
Garrett had a chance to get out of Cleveland, and he chose not to.
He chose money over getting out of Cleveland. He's made his own bed now. He can lie in it. But remember, I think it's like 120 odd million of it is fully guaranteed. But what the Browns have paid him. So it's whatever's remaining on that contract now for the next 4 years. So if you actually think about it in a vacuum, that actually now doesn't look like as much of a stinger as what everyone else thinks. But it's down to who's got the most cap space for all of this.
Someone I wonder whether they'll be available is Blankenship at Eagles. Safety. Because the Eagles cannot afford to sign everybody. And that's the whole reason why we got Milton Williams, because they couldn't afford to keep him. You know, all right, we had to pay more money than Carolina would. But they can't afford to keep everybody. And they've already got, you know, two safeties behind him ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what they have been fantastic at doing. So I don't know whether, I mean, is safety an absolute necessity right now? No. But if a player like that is available, he's certainly worth considering, especially if you're going to offload a player or you know, get a half decent player for a low cost.
I think it's more of a priority than you think. Actually, I think that is a real issue.
I mean, corner and edge are probably my two top priorities.
I would get Gilmore on a free.
Yeah, me too.
I'd get Gilmore on a free or Asante Samuel Jr. on a free. And then you sort out the pass rush help.
Yeah, I feel like safety is being slept on as a potential. I know obviously Jalen Hawkins has had some big plays, but he's also given up a lot of stuff. Woodson's a 4th round rookie who's had some good moments, but has been beaten on a lot of touchdowns this year. And they've got nothing behind them because Kyle Duggar's not playing, and when he has played, he's looked pretty washed. So I would look at that as a potential option as well for a safety. Like Gilmore, I think it makes so much sense to bring him back. Like he'd be great as a 3rd corner in our team. To be fair, he'd potentially be the 4th corner because you're going to have Davis and Gonzo and then Marcus Jones anyway. So yeah, I like that. Just on what you said, Kyle, about Arden Key, I literally just seen this tweet earlier from Keegan Stiefel, who works for Nesson, and he suggested
NESN.
Yeah, basically straight swap Arden Key for Keon White. It's an easy 1-for-1 switch, with the former getting some pass rush help while getting out from an underneath lost young talented player. So basically gets us help now, and then he can go to the Titans who need young players. He's still got obviously a bit of talent, you know, a bit of potential.
If that ends up happening, that's a fleece. Because I know Keon.
Yeah,
in the short term, that is a fleece. We don't know how good Keon White. We've seen a little bit what Keon White is capable of, but unfortunately, in this system, it doesn't work. Maybe he works under Tennessee's system. The only problem is, though, Tennessee is ran so badly right now. They've got an interim head coach who doesn't know his ass from his elbow, and you know, the fans are at loggerheads right now saying that the owner doesn't care, this, that, and the other. But I mean, that's the Adams family. That's them in a nutshell, really.
I would still test the resolve of Cincinnati for Hendrickson as well. Like, I know they've said not going to trade him, but like he obviously wanted an extension or wanted to be traded in the off season.
Who did the Bungles face? Who did the Bungles face this week? It's Chicago, isn't it?
Not sure. Obviously, they just lost to the Jets. Like they're done. But we've said about like a 3rd round pick and Keon White for Trey Hendrickson. Like I think that's not a million miles away. But like Carl, if you're reluctant to give up a 3rd, we have 2 4th rounders. So what about a 4th?
2 4ths or 2 5ths?
We got 2 4ths.
I'd give up our top 4th then for Hendrickson.
4th for Hendrickson, and we send them Keon White and Kyle Duggar. I think that could get it done. They get 2 players on defense, a proven safety. Yes, Duggar's struggled recently, but maybe needs a fresh start. Could slot into their safety rotation. They get a young pass rusher with still potential, and we get Trey Hendrickson, and they get a 4th round pick. I think that could get it done. If they come back and say no, you offer them the 3rd, and that might
swing them.
I think that could get it done.
The Bungles need defensive help badly.
I'll tell you what, I feel anyone coming up against us, if we have Trey Hendrickson with Landry, Williams, and Barmore on the line as well, fucking hell. That is a monstrous front four.
You've just said something that actually I was going to ask a question. We talk about players who aren't playing, and Kieran's just mentioned him there. Barmore. He missed the entire first quarter, and according to Vrabel, it was to protect the team. Has that guy been benched?
No, I
He
think
was
it was
benched for the entire first quarter.
He was benched for the entire first quarter, then he came into the second quarter. I think either it's something freaking small, like I don't know, he was late to a meeting or he's late to the curfew or whatever it might be. So maybe that is just Rabel acts as discipline in him. I mean, Barmore, but when Barmore come back in the second quarter, he was a flipping wrecking ball.
Oh,
And
yeah.
on that offensive line.
Rabel did say that it was pretty much like it was dealt with, like
it was dealt with, done and
all
dusted.
done, all blown over.
So clearly, he was like he may have been late for a meeting or late to a training session or something, and maybe something along those lines. I don't think it's something you could really too much think about, because if we didn't see the end of, obviously Vrabel does his usual, waits in the tunnel and gives everyone high fives and cuddles in that one, and he actually fully embraced Barmore as well. So basically,
no, it was more the protect the
calm.
team sort of comment that I was like, all right, okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, I don't think it's an issue. He will play first quarter again on Sunday against the Falcons. One last thing we're gonna do before we get on out of there. Obviously, there was some news that happened earlier on this evening, and that is, of course, Marcus Jones, our slot corner, who has been on fire all season, has finally got his payday. The page from Ian Rappaport, the Patriots have agreed to terms with standout corner and all-pro punt returner. I love that save, all-pro punt returner. Marcus Jones, per him and Tom Pelissero, Jones getting 3 new years. Kieran, have you got more updates on what the fee is?
All I know is it was 3 years, 36 million.
So an average of about 12 million a year.
Yeah. So obviously I don't know what the guaranteed money is.
Reasonable, to be fair.
But yeah, it's a nice little return for him. He's been a real, bright light from that 2022 draft class that was pretty bad.
There's only one person left now on that secondary.
Yeah.
Gonzo. He's the last player now, and he might actually, he might potentially reset the market at corner.
Yeah, I think he's going to
because Sauce Gardner's ass. I don't care what anybody says. One of the most overrated defensive players I've ever seen in my life. He is not good, man. Not good.
The Jets' disease has set into him well and truly. I feel like Marcus Jones definitely deserves an extension. We're not paid over the odds for it. I think, like I said in the green room, I think his contract sits just below Jalen Petrie for the Houston Texans, who's also an excellent nickel. So he's got a decent reward for being excellent this year, both on defense and on special teams. He's become a captain, he's become a real dependable player. I'm really pleased that we've managed to get that done. I think you're right with Gonzo resetting the market. I mean, that segues. We spoke about this a little bit earlier about discussing this. Now that Marcus Jones has been extended, I would expect someone like Tonga to be extended this offseason as well. Chase on as well. Then been 2 real big free agent hits for us that were cheap, that we can get extended to long-term deals. They're still young enough. But the 2 that are due for extension or eligible for extension after this season are Gonzo, who is going to get an absolutely nuclear contract, I would have thought.
He will.
And our boy, Kayshawn's due for a contract extension.
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting because as a 6th round pick, he's probably not earning a great deal of money. I don't think he'd got a lot of guaranteed money. His base salary is going to be pretty low. I'm going to be very interested to see what kind of contract he gets, because if he continues like this, he could get paid.
I mean, a lot of people. I mean, what was it? His statistics in the game: 7 targets, 2 catches allowed for 3 yards. But then again, if you look at who he was going up against, it was Howell Fallon Jr., Jerome Ford, Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Bond. I think the wide receiver group of Rutgers could probably do better than that.
Yeah.
Just to note, Truman Jones has been signed by the Titans off our practice squad.
That means there's a space. We signed a running back, if I'm not mistaken.
2 running backs, and then placed
running backs for the practice squad. So, not Not the be all and end all there. Just a little bit on the corners before we get on out of here. Okay, Patriots corners versus Cleveland. Gonzo was 0 for 3 on 2 pass breakups. But Carlton Davis, who we've had our bit of our issues with, he was 0 for 1. Marcus Jones was 2 for 4, gave up 15 yards, but he had 2 pass breakups as well. Basically, we are slowly turning this secondary into a no-fly zone.
Yeah, it just needs a dominant safety to complement it, really. I think that's
Which makes the Jabril Peppers one even more fucking head-scratching.
It does. But, yeah, I think Gonzo might get, as you said, reset the market. I think he's going to be the highest paid corner in the NFL heading into next season, because he's pretty damn good. He's an elite corner.
Okay, so one last thing we'll do on the playoff picture after week 8 as it currently stands. I know it's early days, but this is what it looks like right now on the AFC. So the Colts right now, yes, you heard it correctly. The Colts are the number 1 seed, right? All thanks to Jonathan Taylor running for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in like the last 5 bloody games. I know that because he's in my main fantasy league. The wild card round stands as it is. The 5th seed Buffalo Bills will go to the 4th seed Pittsburgh Steelers. The 6th seed Los Angeles Chargers will go to the Denver Broncos, so an AFC West battle. And the New England Patriots will have a home wild card round against the Chiefs.
Great.
I mean, that's a bad draw in itself, but...
Here's the thing. I was talking to a work colleague about this earlier. We are not quite at the level of the Chiefs yet.
Oh,
However,
close.
if that game ends up being at Arrowhead,
we'll get blasted out.
like that, I think that's a big stretch for us to get the win.
Mm.
If this game is in Foxborough, I think we've got a chance. And I'm not going to say like we're definitely going to win or we've got a very good chance to win. I think, but there is a slight chance, whereas on the road is completely out of question, I think. But I don't know, maybe 20%. Like
we are not even through week 9 yet. Can we calm down on the playoff chat? I'm
going to put my balls on the table here.
I don't want to know where you're putting those. I'm going
to say this now. We do not go worse than 12-5. I do not see more than 3 losses left on the schedule. I even think we go 13-4 with a possibility to go 14-3. Because
if we go 14-3, then you're looking at the number 1 seed.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, this is going too far, but my work colleague actually predicted us to get to the Super Bowl earlier against the Lions, which I think is pushing it. But we're not winning less than 12 games this season, and we could win as many as 14. And that puts us right in the mix. Not only as we've said about, we're going into this season hoping we'd be a playoff contender. I think we're looking like we're probably going to be a playoff team. Then it's gone on to, we could challenge Buffalo for the division here. And I think ultimately that's probably the most realistic outcome. Like, we are in an absolute duel with Buffalo. That week 15 game could decide the division. But then if you get through that, you then go from being potential wildcard team, division winner, fucking hell, we're a Super Bowl contender. Because like, if you win 14 games, you would be considered a Super Bowl contender. Like, and I don't think we're at that level yet. But like Sam Monson said on the Check the Mic podcast, like the thing for New England will be, you come into this season expecting to be much improved, and nobody really knows what level you're at. Could you be a wild card team? Could you, come second in the division and have a better season? But like, if we do find ourselves with 13 wins, say, like, we have to wake up and realize, like, we're good now, and there's going to be an expectation on us to do something. Like, we've gone from being an under the radar sneaky team that's improved to shit, we're right in the mix here. Like, we need to like really back this up, like, and we need to accept that, and we'll need to shoulder that pressure, which I thought was a really interesting point, because if we do win 13 games, everybody's going to get carried away and think that we're going to go and win the whole lot. So like, who knows, but no less than 12 wins, I'm telling you.
Me, Kieran's drank the Kool-Aid.
I was
Right.
going to say, play the rock, play the rock, play the rock.
I think we might as well get on out of here for that one, guys. Kieran, you've lost the plot. You have severely lost the plot on that one, okay?
What, by saying 12 wins? I thought you
Yeah.
agreed.
No, I said 13 wins. Let's go that way. 13 wins, we'll say.
13 wins is completely plausible.
It's doable.
You
if
lost me
beat-
at Super Bowl contender, to be honest.
Indeed, you have. On that note, we're going to get on out of here. Big thank you to Kieran. Big thank you to Nick. Make sure you smash the like button on the way out. Hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Tell all your friends. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Make sure you follow the podcast on Spotify and on Apple as well. And we'll be back on Friday night for the preview against the Atlanta Falcons, or rather topsy-turvy Atlanta Falcons, shall we say. We will have a guest on, and that'll be announced in due course. But for now, from all of us here at the Touchback, good night, God bless, and one last thing, gentlemen. You know what we're going to do next. How we feel about knocking off the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, yeah.
See you Friday, guys.